Welcome back to the conversation. I'm Newbury. I told the conversation. We're talking different candidates throughout the city. We have amazing candidates, really amazing people who are doing great work for the city. We have people who are running as incumbents, running for the first time. We have someone who's started off as a newbie, no pun intended, but now is a veteran. Really, the veteran of the council, former city council president, just an all-around good person. Jack Lally running for re-election for Ward 6 City Council. Jack, first and foremost, thanks for coming on.
How you doing? Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Absolutely. This, not a shortage of topics to talk about that are
Nope.
going on in the city. Some good stuff, some not so good stuff, but ultimately, we want to get to the same place, and that's a better Brockton.
Oh yeah.
Talk about why you're running again. Why did you decide to run again for Ward 6 City Council?
Yeah. So for the folks who don't know me, my name's Jack Lally. I'm the Ward 6 City Councilor. I was first elected in 2015, and I've been reelected since. Actually, we've had the highest margin of victory in any contested race in the last 3 municipal elections, so I'll take it. Really, I like doing what I'm doing, and it was sort of a no-brainer to me to run for re-election, because we've got a lot going on. We have a lot we can stand on, a lot that's been accomplished, but also a lot that's really got to keep going. So one of the biggest things up here, in Ward 6 is roads. And we've got a lot of really bad roads, a lot of roads that were, neglected for a long period of time. And what we're doing now is just trying to get as many of them paved as possible. We've been able to really push that beyond where the ward has been in the past. And we're getting much more roads done. We're above average, and we're really pushing past the way it used to be done, if you will. But that's the big infrastructure, public safety, fiscal responsibility. It's one of those things where when you're involved and you really think hey, this is going in a good direction, things are doing really well. It's exciting, and it's something that you want to be a part of.
Right. Let's talk about a lot of exciting infrastructure things going on in Brockton. But I do want to just kind of go back a little bit. What are some things that you're accomplishing? Some things that you're really proud of, and things that you want to move forward going in your next term if you get reelected.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the biggest thing with the infrastructure is we are way above average with paving roads. Going sort of along that is we are making a lot of private ways, public ways. So basically these roads are just regular roads like anything else, but for some reason the city never took them over. So these people are living on them, paying taxes, bills, and fees, same as everybody else, but those roads are not eligible to be paved. So it's just not possible for us to do them. So making them public makes them eligible and puts them on that playing field. So we've when I came in, there were 78 roads that were private. We've got that number, well below 50, and we're continuing to push it down. Making these roads public makes them eligible, puts them on the same playing field, gives them the equal opportunity they'd like to be paved. And then, keeping with switching over to public safety, we've got, we've expanded the fire department and the police department, really tried to prioritize that. We've bought a lot of new equipment and technology for both departments. We just brought in the SAFER grant, which has allowed the fire department to hire 16 new people and open up a 10th piece of apparatus or fire truck that they haven't had since the late 80s.
Let's talk about some things going forward. It's crazy because I want you to touch about this briefly.
Yeah.
Just as your term as city council president, just explain that experience and kind of the responsibility. I mean, you're heaven forbid something happens to the mayor, you're the number two person. Explain that responsibility of what it takes to be a city council president. I don't think people understand the details of that.
Yeah, well, it was really fascinating. And to be honest, I really liked doing it. Basically, you preside over the meetings, and it depends on really. It's like most things, it's what you make of it.
Okay.
So I could sit there and that's it, and we're just presiding over the meetings, or you could get much more involved. So one of the things that I did was I made sure to keep in contact with the counselors and make sure everybody was good. We could sort of affect the meetings as they come up. Say, all right, well, this is going to happen. There's going to be a lot of, contentious debate. Let's, make sure this goes this way. Like, let's have, let's have fewer items on the agenda because otherwise we're going to be there till midnight, stuff like that. But you're also the spokesperson for the council. You have to look out for them. You have to help them out. And you have to make sure that the body is, still in a good standing. And you are basically the vice mayor. If the mayor's out of state, you are serving as acting mayor. And there's no day-to-day obligation with that. You don't have to show up in the office or anything like that. But if something happens and a decision needs to be made, that's you.
Right.
If something really blows up or there's a big problem, or if something needs to be signed or somebody missed something, then that's what they bring you in for. But just it's a hell of a vantage point, and you're able to just sort of lead the body and hopefully maintain a productive year. And I'm very proud of the year we had. It ran very smooth. There wasn't a lot of chaos. We had a lot of good things.
We were joking around, so it was almost too quiet.
Yeah, well, yeah. We had
City council was really entertaining the year before that.
We were glad. Oh, yeah. Our ratings collapsed. Yeah. I had a buddy of mine lives in Haverhill, and he watches all of our meetings. And he goes, no offense, I stopped watching. These aren't fun anymore. And I was like, oh, come on. But no, it is something that.
It's a testament to the job you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but it I don't know. I just really it's sort of tough to explain because I feel like I moved into it very well, but it was really great. We just got to just keep things moving and say, look, we were able to address what we needed to address, and we were able to do it without a lot of fanfare.
Let's talk about what's been getting a lot of attention last couple months, and we'll talk about the deficit next, but the Brockton Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And the potential purchase of the fairgrounds. It's MOE right now. It's not official, but it's the intention of that's what the city wants to do.
Yeah.
Do you approve of it? Is that something that you want to go forward? And if so, what do you see going in there?
Yeah. So the mayor needs us to make that decision. That's why we have the MOU. He signed an MOU that said, look, I, as the executive of the city, want to buy this. I need permission from the council, both because it's a real estate matter to acquire it and to bond out the money to actually buy it.
Right.
I think that it is a tremendous opportunity. I was on the fence about it. I wasn't very sure. And then we had a very, very good meeting in the council. It went on for more than an hour about the subject, and I refer people to it all the time. I think it explained, a lot of people threw a lot of questions at it, a lot of stuff, trying to poke holes in it or trying to just inquire about it. But the opportunity that we have to control our own future is this is a big shot for us. Municipalities do not often have the ability to really control their future.
What do you want there? Like, what do you envision in a perfect world? What would you like to have there?
Commercial, industrial, and I want it to be somewhere people travel to. I want people to be going to Brockton. I want to avoid as much residential as property.
Please don't do a movie theater.
No, we can't.
It's a dying business. I love movie theaters. Yeah. I'm a movie, but it's a dying business.
Yeah. Well, it's a dying business, but also economically, for the region, Randolph generates gravity. Right. That showcase there generates gravity, and there's nothing that can survive.
A performing arts theater, but a movie theater, it's just
something.
Yeah.
No, not the movies. Yeah, so a bit of public use, a bit of somewhere for you to go, but we want I hate saying something like Derby Street shops because we're not Derby Street. We're not getting that, but something with that people will go to, that we can bring people in for. Belmont Street's, we're trying to make it the new Main Street.
Right.
You want to go to Main Street. We have to have a reason to bring you in. But I want to have as little as possible residential there because we have so much of it. We're 81% residential. We have a split rate for taxes, but at that rate, there's no difference. So you have to have commercial industrial to benefit the residents.
I do want to talk about the deficit, the $14 million deficit that's obviously been in the news with the schools and It brought up the other conversation about vetting process and safeguards.
Yeah.
And, from the outside looking in, there's a lot of finger pointing. City council, and the school committee, mayor, superintendent, no real accountability. I just want to kind of give you opportunity, just kind of, give your 2 cents on it. No pun intended.
Yeah.
But in terms of the city council approves the school committee budget, are there some safeguards and some vetting that we should implement going forward for something like that won't happen?
Yeah. So, yeah, basically the school department, like every other department, they put their budget together. They bring it to, they sign off on their budget. They bring it to the mayor and the CFO, and then they try and make those budgets work into a collective city budget.
Right.
So what happens sometimes is if you submit a budget and it's $10 million and we can only make this work with, 8 or 9, then you would only get 8 or 9. It's up to the mayor and the CFO to determine what the final budget is.
Right.
And then they bring it to us, and we can either cut it or approve it. So that's what we do. We haven't made cuts to the school department.
It feels like that part, though, there's a gap. It's brought to you guys, you can cut it or approve it, but there's not much wiggle room. I feel like that
There's
might be,
not-
that's
yeah.
I feel like that maybe might need to be
that's-
adjusted.
yeah.
And I don't know
So-
how to do it. I'm not going to act like I
Right,
do.
and we're trying to figure it out.
Right.
So yeah, there's a very very sharp, very clear separation of powers between the city council and the school committee. Part of that is Mass General Law in general, but there is specific Mass General Law that only applies to Brockton, governing our relationship. Because I think in the past, the city used to have a bit of an ambivalent attitude, and they'd put their feet up a little. And I'm talking decades ago.
Right.
But they, Mass General Law, had to come in and fix it. One of the things that, that we keep talking about, though, is the fact that the school department is sort of a city within a city.
Right.
They have their own finance people, they have their own legal people, they have their own maintenance, they have their own HR, they have all these things that we have, and they've somehow got more. So one of the things that we're trying to figure out is, are our financial people talking to each other? If they're not talking to each other, then this is how this kind of thing happens. We need to consolidate finances.
Let me ask you a question. Even though it is a school committee deficit,
Yeah,
where's the money going to come from? That's
from
what we
the
wanna-
city side. Yeah,
Right.
no, this doesn't. Yeah, it's not. We can't sit here. First of all, it's not right to do, and it's irresponsible. But we can't sit there and go, stinks for them, because it doesn't stink for them. It stinks for everybody.
Right.
First of all, it's damaging to the public trust, to the faith of you're paying your taxes. Where's it going? And second, they clearly don't have any other money, so it comes out of us.
Would something like that affect the purchase of the fairgrounds?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
It would, both in the money we have to make that kind of a purchase, and in terms of how much the public is willing to tolerate from what we're doing. It was a big ask to bond out $55 million for the fairgrounds. Now it's a bigger ask because we also have to find a way to pay out $14 million to cover the deficit from the schools. So I don't think the fairgrounds would happen this year. And that's just, I don't have any information behind that. That's just my guess.
Right. This fiscal year or just calendar year?
Calendar.
Okay.
Political.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's still a heck of an opportunity. If we can make the money work, I'd like to have a go at it. The greatest example that they gave me was Miles Standish Industrial Park in Taunton. That whole thing was built to Taunton spec because they took the land and then they sold it out. And so something like that is a great opportunity. But with the school deficit, that does make acquisitions like that harder. So we just have to figure out what we can tolerate and whether or not we can make it work financially, justify it.
Listen, we could talk about this forever, but we're running a little short on time. And that's that's probably the most valuable piece of real estate in the city. It's that right there. I mean, there are talks about obviously before the casino and other different ideas, and but this seems like the most, I guess, the most attainable and realistic opportunity that the city may have. But for the voters out there, make final pitch. Why should they vote you as reelect you as city councilor for Ward 6 on November 7th.
No, absolutely. So we're working really hard. I'd like to think we have a lot to stand on, but I'll run right through it. Infrastructure, paving more roads, way above the average, making roads public, public safety, more cops, more firefighters, better equipment, getting them out there doing the job. Fiscal responsibility, funny enough, which is one of the things that that we talk about. The city's budget has won an international award 4 or 5 years in a row for transparency. We have right now the largest rainy day fund in city history, and we have been putting something together called working.
How much is that rainy day fund?
Off the top of my head, I think 27.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then there's a couple other funds
minus
as well.
14.
Minus 14. Yeah. Yeah. All right, that's what I said right now. And then we're working with a company called Open Checkbook, which will allow you to log in. Once it's live, you can log in and look at our finances anywhere in the world live. Money in, money out. You can watch it happen. And then the other final thing, talking about growth and everything. An ordinance I sponsored just was passed by the council to try and curb people building on top of each other. You're trying to put houses in front lawns. It doesn't really work. To create a special permit to allow people in R3, R4 commercial and industrial zones to apply for a special permit to be allowed possibly to build higher than height restrictions. So the idea with that and the way it was set up is to allow people, downtown Montello, Campello, to start building higher. We're a very short city,
right,
and we're a very small city area-wise. We're running out of space. So if you're going to be building, no more. You can't build out anymore. You have to start building up. And we've created that in a way that allows the zoning board a lot of control over the matter. So we can get some good stuff where we want it, but stuff that's going to be a problem, we can shoot it down very easily.
Listen, a lot of good stuff. Definitely always learn something new when we talk to you on the podcast. So I wish you the best of luck.
I appreciate
it. On November 7th. So listen, that's it for the podcast, for the conversation for this episode. We'll be back more episodes with different candidates, and we'll be back.
Thank you.
Good stuff, man.
Oh, thank you.
Good stuff, man.